So we learned about Gauss law that charged and closed by any closed surface area will result in a flux is simply charge that is enclosed by that surface area divided by epsilon naught, where epsilon naught is a constant permittivity of free space. In another case, if there is an electric field and charge is not enclosed by that surface area, there must be a zero flux, net zero flux. Now let us consider some of the properties associated with this Gauss law. Let us see. First properties is Gauss law is true for any closed surface no matter what is the shape or size. So that we have already discussed that flux is always Q upon epsilon naught. It does not matter what is the area or shape of the surface. Second thing is the term Q on the right side of the Gauss law. So remember, this is Gauss law. Phi is equal to Q upon epsilon naught. So the flux, so the term on the, this is flux, this is Q. So term Q on the right side of Gauss law includes the sum of all charges enclosed by the surface. So let us say this is a sphere and there are three or four charges. So this is Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, Q5. So this Q is the total charge. That means Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on. Total charge enclosed by this surface. Total charge. It can be here, here or anywhere. Total charge enclosed by surface. The charges may be located anywhere inside the surface. So charges can be anywhere. But the total charge enclosed by this surface. Now third thing is, in the situation where surface is chosen, that are some charges inside and some charges outside. So let us choose one surface where some charges, some charges are inside, some charges are outside. Okay. So the electric field whose flux appear on the side, this side. So this is flux, electric field whose flux appears on the left side is due to all charges. So this flux due to all charges. Flux is not only because of the charges inside, both inside and outside. So both inside as well as outside. This is these are outside, these are inside. Okay. So the flux is because of this as well as these. Outside as the, however, the term Q on the right side of Gauss law represents only the total charge inside S. So but Q is only for inside charges. So let us understand it again. Suppose there is a surface, this is the surface and charges here are, there are many charges and this is Q. There are some charges outside, this is Q1, this is Q2. So what they are trying to say, this flux is due to both Q1 and Q2, but this charge Q is only Q1 which is enclosed. So now you will say that how this will be equal. So again we will remember the property that this flux inside is simply Q1 and upon epsilon naught. But flux due to this is coming in and coming out, going out. So both the fluxes are zero. So total flux is from this is phi 2 is equal to, this is phi 1, this phi 2 is equal to 0. However, total flux is again phi 1 plus phi 2. That is a separate thing that phi 2 is 0. That is a separate thing that phi 2 is 0. But total flux is because of phi 1 and phi 2. But phi 2 is coming in, flux coming in is equal to flux going out, hence it is 0. But this phi is because of all the fluxes, whether the charges are inside or charges are outside. But this charge is always due to enclosed charge inside that enclosure. This is always inside charge, inside that inside sphere or inside any kind of surface. But phi is because of all type of charges, whether they are inside or outside. Now fourth property, the surface we choose for the application of Gauss law is called Gaussian surface. So that is simple thing, that Gaussian surface. So the surface we use is called Gaussian surface. You may choose any Gaussian surface and apply Gauss law. So we can choose any Gaussian surface, as we saw in the previous example that we took simply a sphere, because for the case of a sphere, let us say the charge is the center of a sphere, that point R is at the same distance. But if we took another type of surface, let us say any kind of this type of shape, then if the charge is here, then every time R also varies. So it is quite difficult to measure R every time. Hence we chose a sphere surface, but Gauss law is valid whether that is a sphere, a cube, or any other kind of surface. So Gauss law is always valid. However, take care not to let Gaussian surface pass through discrete charge. So we can take any Gaussian surface. Let us say this is the Gaussian surface and this is a charge enclosed. Now what they are trying to say, not let the Gaussian surface pass through any discrete point charge. That means if there are charges, this is charge 1, this is charge 2, this is charge 3. So the Gaussian surface must not pass this discrete charge. Why? Because as you know, if we simply take this point on the Gaussian surface, the field would be as 1 by r square. So the field would be infinity. As r is 0, field would be infinity, and there is a problem. We are in a problem. So always take Gaussian surface so that charges are either enclosed or some charges are outside and some charges are inside. Always take, never take any discrete charge on the Gaussian surface. So this is again that. This is because electric field due to a discrete charge is not well defined. Well defined because that goes to infinity. Electric field. Why? Because R goes to 0, electric field goes to infinity at the location of any charge. As you grow close to a charge, the field grows without any bound. That means as R tends to 0, R 0, the field becomes infinity. However, the Gaussian surface can pass through a continuous charge distribution. So let us say this is a continuous charge distribution, line charge distribution, but this is continuous. So Gaussian surface can be considered like this. For line charge, since this is continuous, for this we can take. Another thing is that we can take surface charge distribution. Let us say this is surface charge distribution. Again, Gaussian surface can be made like this. For continuous charge, it is okay, but for discrete charges where charges are like this, you must not take Gaussian surfaces which pass through a single charge, because for a single charge it becomes infinity at the point of that charge. Fifth property of this Gauss law is often useful towards a much easier calculation of electrostatic field when the system has a symmetry. This is facilitated by choice of suitable Gaussian surface. So what they are trying to say that it is also useful in calculating electrostatic field when the system has symmetry. What is the meaning of symmetry? Let us say we have this type of a diagram. Let us say we have a square. So if we divide this square in 4 equal parts, so if we solve for this small part and simply multiply it by 4, so we will get the whole area. So this is called symmetry because 1, 2, 3 and 4 are similar. Similarly, if we take this kind of surface and solve only for one portion, any one portion, and multiply it by 4, this is again the same. So this is called symmetry operation. Symmetry operation reduces the calculation time. Finally, Gauss law is based on the inverse square dependence of the Coulomb's law. So Coulomb's law, as you saw, that it is based on inverse square law 1 by r square. Any violation of Gauss law will indicate that departure from inverse square law. If Gauss law is not valid for any surface, so that means the inverse square law does not hold. That means for dipole the Gauss law will not work.